All right, I'm so excited. We are here together today, and let's see. Here we go. I'm getting everything all ready here. So, for those of you that don't know me, my name is Brandy Wolf, and I am the founder of Golden Alchemy Meditation. And I'm also a graduate of the davidji Academy. So I'm a certified Master of Wisdom and Meditation teacher, and I'm representing today with my t-shirt. And I am so excited to have our wonderful fellow meditation teacher, Derek Anthony Abdool, here to interview and just share his meditation journey. So before I go a little bit further, if you're watching this on YouTube, please subscribe, like, comment, follow, all that kind of fun stuff. If you're one of our fellow meditation teachers, just shout out some love for Derek. This is new for him, and we want to just put the spotlight on him because he's such a gracious and loving man. So, and I just want to tell you a little bit about Derek and read his bio. So you all know who he is and how he got to being a certified meditation teacher himself. We're actually graduates of the same class. He lovingly calls us the COVID kids because our class was the summer of COVID. And it was a beautiful, beautiful time of just friendship and community and diving deeper into our practice. So Derek is a certified Master of Wisdom and Meditation teacher. He has a deep and consistent and incredibly satisfying meditation practice for over 2 years now, and has been, as he says, in his body for 6 decades. And this is proof positive that time and age have not been a hindrance, but instead the gift of life. Derek became a meditation teacher because his practice saved his life. And now, instead of constantly trying to take it, he has learned to love everything about it and has a deep need to share. He's learned what a deep sense of gratitude can lead to, has learned that the peace he desperately searched for most of his life was inside of him, waiting for him to finally show up. He's learned how the universe has had his back the entire time. His love of and the unconditional love from his God has brought him to a place he's never been. So beautiful. Derek's practice is based on gratitude, bhakti yoga, love, devotion, unconditional love, no expectations, no attachments, and absolutely no demands. He enjoys showing people how powerful they are, finding their beauty and strength in every situation they have been in, and celebrating their reasons for celebrating. He's only able to teach through his actions. His deeds are his words, and experiences are all he has, and has come to realize they are all he needs. His gratitude is everything, and through it, he's able to give and receive the peace and quiet attained from his daily practice of meditation and chanting the many names of Brahma, which has been his reward for commitment. He is now relieved and blessed to say, I quote, "I love life. I appreciate every aspect of it. And I want you to love it too because of your own deep sense of gratitude, love, and devotion." So, wow. That's pretty powerful.
It's the truth.
That's pretty powerful.
It's everything that's got me here to this point.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I can share in that sentiment is that meditation for me helped me heal. It healed my heart. So it's a really wonderful, wonderful practice. So so how long, let's see, so you started, so how did meditation become consistent for you? Like, how long have you been being that consistent meditator?
Well, I started a little more than 2 years ago before we started our class. I'd gotten to such a point in my life. I've never really had a career. Very Vata person. I love different things. I enjoy it. Libra. I don't know if it's relevant at all, but to me it is. The energies, sort of thing. So I ended up driving a city bus in Toronto for the past 14 years, 10 years of it. And it was a test of everything. You're dealing with, I hate to put it this way, but arguably the lower part of the society for whatever reason. So there are confrontations every day. There are life-threatening situations. You're called every name in the book, and you are making more money than all of these folks. And that is the economical disparity causes a lot of issues, if not all of them. So I was facing that every day. But like everything in life, it was a lesson driving you to where you needed to be. But I took that job because I thought that I needed to have. My wife and I don't have any kids. I have a son from a previous relationship. And that in itself is an amazing story for me. But I took it because I thought I needed to have security, benefits, and retirement income and that kind of stuff. But I was 48, I think I was. I started my own healing business. Again, another thing, I got good at it, but I started to get worried and panicky. Fear started to drive the whole process. And after 14 years with that, well, the last 4 years, I drove for Wheel-Trans, which is special transit, which was magnificent because the people I was meeting were actually grateful for what I was doing. The change in paradigm for why you get up in the morning is unbelievable. But again, it was leading me to where I needed to be. And then at one point, one day, I remember in the morning, I hit this road. I think it's called, in the spiritual world, existentialism, if I pronounce it correctly. Where I was at the crossroads, and it was the world of materialism versus the world of spirituality for me. And I broke down. I got into my supervisor's office, and he's half my age. But I'm part of a union. The CBA, the collective bargaining agreement, pretty much dictates everything comes out of everybody's mouth and what you say in response to whatever circumstances are. But this was an emotional one, a heartfelt one, and there's no book to tell you how to react. So he was backed up, but I was bawling my eyes. I had a nervous breakdown right in his office. So I get very suicidal. I've been that ever since I can remember. My first time with life and death, as 2 years old, I fell into this gutter and I came close to death and they had to revise me. I can't remember, but obviously as a child, it would have had some impact on how you're going to, the trajectory of your life. So this was my go-to, my gut shot reaction. But I've always been also addicted to a lot of things. Escapism is the only thing you can do growing up the way I did, not unlike any other person, I'm sure, but we all manifest a little different in all of us.
Right.
So for me, it was marijuana. And I, as much as it's attachment, marijuana has been the difference between between life and me wrap myself around a tree so many times. So I couldn't wait to get home. First of all, he shouldn't let me go, but he didn't know what to do. You're suicidal, you don't let people drive home, but I did. Anyway, so I settled down and I got into, I ended up on LTD, long-term disability, for PTSD and all this stuff during the time of COVID, and which I had a mask on. And the first psychologist, I'd gone through a barrage of psychologists ever since I was psychiatrist 2013, because anger and all that stuff, again, I wanted to protect my wife from what could happen because of what I learned from my own father and mother. So I was very concerned what I could become, not what in that respect. So I'd taken a course. It led me to a course called Foundations. Again, it was a davidji course. And it was about the foundations, why meditation is important. I dabbled in a lot of meditations before, but I wasn't getting what I want. It was very much guided meditation. So you replace your misery with a vision of something. And as soon as you're out of meditation, there's the real world. It works and it's great, but it leads you to a place you need to be. But what I loved about the foundations was that we talked about Patanjali, we talked about the Buddha, so I was getting this foundation for where I needed to go. And the course ended and I loved it. But they offered this teacher's course and I wanted it. It was $5,000. I tell people this story because it's magnificent for me personally. And so I spoke with Nancy McLeod and we came to the mutual conclusion I could not afford this. And she said, Derek, I have it in December. You can always look for it then. I said, Nancy, that's great. And I got on the foundation. There was a Facebook group and I said, you know what? I loved you folks. It was fantastic. I'm going to throw it to the universe. And if I meet anybody who's going to be there in July, see you then. But later on that day, she texted back and said someone who wished to be anonymous paid for my tuition. And there I was. That's how I got here. So I know where I'm at and I don't question why I'm here anymore. And so when we got there, first of all, I was nervous because I left school at, I think I was 15 and a half, 16 because of racism and poverty in 75 when I got here. It was horrible, but what a learning ground. What a training ground. Oh my
Right.
goodness. So, I was worried about studying books in groups of people. I'd never read in groups of people before, and I'd always had to chip on my shoulder about not having conventional education. I always thought I was a stupid kid in the room, so I never said anything to anybody. But what I learned was to be very observant, which has taught me buckets because I'm dyslexic. And dyslexia means I could read five numbers and literally write it down in the opposite direction. Read a
Right.
sentence, write that down entirely differently. I can't follow patterns. Playing music, I can't follow patterns. I have to follow the sound, which is how I
Mhm.
learn. So it took a lot to get here, but I love it. I'm here strong. So this is where I'm at. And so I embraced everything about the teachers thing because it didn't demand that of me at all. Everyone got there because of their own reasons. And I learned that the key to everyone's heart and soul is through your own vulnerability. And that
Yeah.
was teaching me that. And I was learning how to do that. In the middle of that course, because I had this sickness recurring, where I threw up for like 24 hours. I've had it since I was 20 in my 20s, but it takes 2 3 weeks to recover because I'm totally dehydrated. And I kept getting that during the whole thing. And the PTSD, but I had sat down one night and I listened to Krishna Das, who's now my musical guru. And I followed, there's a live session on YouTube. And the love from the people in that audience, the smiles and the glow in their skin and his voice. I had the Bhagavad Gita sitting right in front of me, and I could feel Krishna get into my soul and sing everything out of me. And I was bawling my eyes out. I sat there the whole night. I got up in the morning. Luckily, I love COVID for this because I put my mask on, walking on the street like a lunatic, singing my head off and bawling my eyes out for days. But it was remarkable. I know it sounds like one of those moments that you go, oh, be weird sort of thing, but you can say it's like any addiction I've had. I understand this. You chased the first time you did this thing, but with this thing, you're not chasing anything. This is a place you're in. My meditations kept getting better, and the 40 years of transformation, which I think
Yeah.
is magnificent,
Me
that
too.
got me to sit down again. It's visual and it's guided, but it's guided by davidji, and
Yeah.
his voice is so the chakras. I mean, he hits that spot that it just sort of gets you in that place. And the things he talks about is relevant to what I wanted to study. I love learning. I've never considered myself a teacher because I'm too busy, fascinated, and in love with learning. How I teach is when we sit down to speak. If you learn something, it's more of a learning moment for you rather than a teaching moment for me. And so I can't set up a brick and mortar thing because that's not me. I can't sit there perspire like a pig, wondering if I'm saying the right thing or the wrong thing. The minute someone gets up in the room, I think it's me. It's not for me. It's for people who built for it, like yourself. We all have this way, this path for ourselves, and you got to live to your strengths. And mine is really to just have those intimate conversations with the three of us. And wherever it
Yeah.
goes from there, then so be it. Like I said before, I don't need to speak to a million people. I speak to you, beautiful you, and wonderful Matt, and you guys can spread it wherever you want. If you don't, it's doing its thing. So
It is.
if I'm
It
answering
is.
your question, it's how I got here and why I'm still here. And because of my PTSD, in my meditations, the anger would permeate. It would just get in my head and outside of the meditations. I got on lots of medication, barrage of medications, which cost me, the first thing it costs you is your libido. And that
Yeah.
goes without you knowing the subtlety of it, because you don't
Mhm.
lose the physical ability, you lose the drive. And that's a very
Right.
subtle process. So, and it's painful when you realize where you are years later on, the
Yeah.
thing that you love. So, because it's not the physical act, it's the energy that you're
Mhm.
losing, which is significant in what we're doing because lots of yogis will tell you this, right? Tantric yoga taught me this, that brahmacharya is not necessarily about wasting sexual and this and where you go. It's about the energy because when we talk about Kundalini yoga and the energy going up your spine, what they say to you, it's a choice. The same energy it takes to replenish sperm and eggs is the very same energy it takes to achieve Kundalini. So there's no evil or judgment here. It is a choice. You're either going after the physical love or that spiritual enlightenment. It's a choice in the moment in time you are right then. The difference is the sustainability of it. One you're taking with you. that physical gratification, that's gonna die the minute you get some mental issue. You take a drug, that's gonna go away.
Right.
So what I have with me is this replacement. But I, in the during the meditation process, I realized that the drugs I was taking had me in this place. I beat from peaks and valleys, and that's been a problem for me a lot, living in the peaks and valleys of life, finding out that the
Yeah.
beauty is in the middle of it, and drugs erase all of that. They keep you in a
Mhm.
place that's not necessarily good for you. It allows society to deal with you. You know
Right.
what I mean? It allows
Yeah.
them to deal with whatever you bring to the table. And I think once I realized that, it wasn't about me necessarily, it's more about them rather than me. Whether that's right or wrong, I need to see that way, because I got off every drug and they'll tell you cold turkey, anything is not right for you. But I have come through addictions to crack and all sorts of things. And I've done that on my own with people, but they don't know how I've done it. And that in itself, it's a remarkable story. Um,
It
but I came
is.
off and I talked to Nancy about it, and she backed out because obviously she doesn't want her thing to suggest people should come off their drugs and go through these things.
Yeah.
But I tried to explain to her it's just a little decision I'm making. So I got off them, and today, I mean, I'm the guy that used to black out in places and have people wake me up from panic attacks and anxiety. And I drove for a living, but I'm so good at compartmentalizing things that no one would know. I was crack addicted. I'm a marijuana. No one would know these things. I became so good at it,
Wow.
like a chameleon. But you have to. When we went through the process of speaking about your powers, I didn't even do that justice, because the
Yeah.
things that got me to, I couldn't even face those things while I was writing that paper. Is now I'm able to face it and speak about it.
Yeah.
Um,
You
so
were
I
like
got up.
you were basically a functional addict.
Absolutely. And very good
Yeah.
at it. Very,
Yeah.
very good. I became skilled at it because I needed to survive. But I've
Yeah.
been doing that since I was 8, watching my mother get the hell beat out of her,
Oh,
being the closest to her. And the next day in the car, when nobody tells you anything, but she is crying and telling you she's describing every hit, the reasons, and you're taking on emotion. And as a Libra, I'm taking on the emotions in this, and this stuff, but it's wonderful at the time. Yes, it's hell, but after, you learn, you understand why
when you
you're
wake
here.
up to it, when you wake up
Well,
to the lesson.
Brandy, the thing about it is you're built to carry what you thought were burdens, but you're
Hmm.
built, and no one else can carry. This is your journey. This is your path. Because I
Yeah.
believe astrology has taught me that these energies they're there, but you have to learn how to manipulate them rather than have them manipulate you. I
Yeah.
feel I'm living in a state of predisposition out of ignorance. Understanding how to live with the energies takes me out of a state of predisposition where I'm just reacting to these energies and they're driving me. Don't matter how much meditating I do, because the minute I'm out of that state, I'm responding to these energies,
Yeah.
which we discussed. That's what we are. We are the stars, we're the moons, we are what made this universe. That's what the energies are,
Yeah.
right? So, and I believe 100% that everyone I meet has a placement that I'm going to have, because it's about lives. It's not about years. It's me getting to the place of samadhi and bodhisattva. This is
Mhm.
not done in a lifetime. This is done over a period of lives. That's why it's rebirth and a cycle of rebirth for me.
Yeah.
So
Birth.
what I feel is
Satanama.
what meditation has gotten me to is I'm at the point where I'm realizing that the beauty of where I stand today kind of suggests with the people I'm around, yourself and so on, is that when I look at the lives ahead of me, the placements I looked at learning astrology, is that there's far less lives to have to live that are in front of me than they are in back of me, which is beautiful. I mean, that's so encouraging. That's a reason to get up tomorrow morning, that I don't have that many to go. I actually get it right where I sit right now. And I
Mhm.
didn't get it 2 years
Yeah.
ago when I had my collapse in my boss's office.
Yeah.
So as I'm talking to you about how I got meditation, I went and when PTSD hit me and I'm angry and I'm combative and all that's happening to me, I end up taking ketamine treatments,
Mhm.
which are they're psilocybin thing. I think you know about them, but they're very they're you do them while you're in a a, um, a laboratory environment, if you will, in lack
Yeah.
of a better term.
I've heard
You're
some good things
supervised.
about ketamine and PTSD.
Well, I took the first time I got it. I remember when I did the foundations, I got a Naksatra on my own, but I never I never used it. I had my own through our own courses and so on. Heard all these other beautiful ones. And the first time I, the first time it hit me, I remember the first thing popped in my head was my Naksatra, my mantra. I know if you've seen the stories of people grabbing onto the back of dolphins and they just go for this ride. But it was like that's what happened to me. And I just grabbed onto the back of it and it just took me through this place. And the only way I can describe it is that I was in a state where this body did not exist. So the combativeness, this duality state was not there. It was just this conscious state, but you're not aware of it. You're just
Mhm.
in it. And so to judge it, to talk about it, where when you weren't in a place of judgment, it's very difficult to be in a place of discrimination because that's what you're doing. You're discriminating good
Right.
from the bad, where you weren't in it in the first place. So I got to use this human thing to describe it to you when I wasn't a place of driven by the human process at all. This
Yes.
was fascinating. When you hear people talking about it was like the steroids to meditation, I will support that any day. But the beauty of it is that I've never wanted to go back in it. It happened 2 years ago. My meditative state actually gets me there. So when I grab onto the back of my mantras, I'm flying for the time I'm in the place today.
Yeah.
So it's
Pretty
beautiful.
powerful. Yeah,
It's
pretty
so
powerful.
fantastic. But it's taken 2 years to get there. The message is, you know, when you want a cure for what's ailing you, it's you look for the one that's sustainable. And that's the one that happens in a subtle period, but over a space of time. Drugs are designed to do the other thing. It's designed for you to have an effect in the next 20 minutes, the next hour, the next whatever. But there's a
Mhm.
cost for it. There's going to be a cost for it. And if you're willing to live with those costs, then fair enough. But they're not sustainable. They're not sustainable at all because they're designed for you to go back and need them again. Because
Right.
there's a whole industry built around it. Without judgment,
Well, yeah,
understand where you're there.
the whole pharmaceutical industry is the whole health industry is built around you needing more. So
But I'm not
meditation
gonna.
for me is what has brought me to a healed spot, a more healthy spot, a more successful place in life. I'm more successful now just in all aspects of my life, not any one. I mean, in my personal life, in my professional life, in my family life, everything, I am more successful of a person because I'm consistently meditating and I have focused on my heart. I have focused on letting go and healing the past and letting go of the burdens and looking at the past and letting go of the story and just seeing it for what it is, just observing it as what it is. Some of my biggest teachers have been some of my biggest stories, so to speak. I mean, my ex-husband was a great teacher. He's not my husband now for a reason, but great teacher. I learned a lot about myself in that situation. My father was the same. And much like you growing up in a place where there was racism, I grew up in a place where it was dominantly one faith and I was not part of that faith. And although the majority of the culture was Caucasian, it was very obvious I was not part of that faith. And so I was left out from a very young age, couldn't go into people's homes because I wasn't part of the culture. They couldn't come into my home because I wasn't part of that culture, couldn't play together, all that kind of stuff. And I kept going and going and going. But ultimately, that was some of the seeds that led me to this place today because it grew my curiosity for faith. It grew my curiosity about culture. And I started learning more and more and more about different cultures, which then started growing my compassion towards each and every person that believed so wholeheartedly in their faith. And it just kept going, and till I started finding mine, which then, a series of other events too, but it ultimately led me to meditation. So it's amazing when we have those kind of stories. And I had no idea that somebody paid your tuition for David G's class. That is, wow. Were you supposed to
Oh,
put your butt in that seat or what?
it's this is a personal discovery, and all of that is teaching me what I need to learn about myself. Even when we touched on the racial issue, I just want to make it clear for everyone. I've been in the middle of groups attacked by white people, black people, Indian people. I'm mixed with Indian, black, and white.
Mhm.
I will say this is what I've learned from it. It is a group of people behaving egregiously,
Mhm.
nefariously, who just happen to be white, black, or Indian. They're not indicative of any groups of anybody. They've hijacked, and the beauty about religion, I've learned, is that they've all been hijacked by someone's agenda. And
Yes.
once you're able to remove the dogma from the religion, you find the essence of the religion, which is about love, compassion, and God.
Yes.
That no one should be allowed to hijack God from you. And when I
Right.
use the term God, it conjures up these images in my mind and other people, either male and female. So I've turned to Brahman because they say that once you inject any form in Brahman, for Brahman, it is no longer Brahman. Brahman is the breeze, the air, your cells, your blood, the trees. That's what Brahman is. There is no shape. And once you ask the question of what Brahman looks like, that is your ego, and you're back to square one. You're gonna have to get over this. So, this discovery, it's so magnificent. So today, I'm happy to be Christ conscious, Krishna conscious, Allah conscious, whoever it is, because they're all God. You know,
Yes.
they didn't come down and demand anybody follow them. They just said, you know what, folks, just like you and I amongst our friends, saying, you know what I found in meditation yesterday. Guess what? Half of them think you're crazy. The same thing would have happened to these folks, and this sort of stuff. So I have discovered the beauty of religion by being able to understand dogma and the agenda of human beings. And I don't
Yes.
judge them for it. Everyone is here on their own path. I've got to navigate through all of that to find my own. And I've
Yes.
come to the conclusion that all the storms in my life have come to clear the path for my next journey. And my job has been to clear away the debris caused by that storm. And after I've done that, the path that's clear for me, it is lit, illuminated by the hand held by the torch held by the hand of Brahman. And that's
Mhm.
enough for me because God is, and that's going to have to be good enough for me. I'm
Yes.
not here to question anything, just let it be. And I
I love
found
that.
that every time I try to make a decision and it turns out to be wrong, it's been the wrong decision in the first place. I need to just give it time to show me why it's the right decision. And
Yeah.
God does not speak to me in voice. God speaks to me in my actions and how they have turned out. And I've learned that whatever it is I give my heart today, tomorrow's returns have always been infinite. And it's not monetary, it's in some other remarkable form. It's what I
Mhm.
need
That's what you
without
need at
knowing it.
that time.
Yes. So
It always is. It
what a
always
trip
is.
it is, Brandy. What a
Yeah.
trip it is. It's never ending and it's magnificent.
So if you could say, like, and I know that there's so many things that you could say, but just one thing, like in 5 words or less, what meditation has done for you. And I know that that's really hard because it's such a wide world meditation is and all the beauty of it, but just like, what's the main thing it's done for you?
I would say this because for me, I have to dissect it and get right into what it really means. The one thing position I have now from it is it's making love my master and fear my muse. Because everything, when it's fear-based, everything I've done up to this point has been fear-based.
Mm-hmm.
In terms of if I don't be a certain thing, I can't have a friendship. If I don't do a certain thing, I can't have love. If I don't do a certain thing, I can't. That is a fear-based decision. Rather
Yeah.
than saying to myself, at the end of my efforts, if I focus on the love of it, it doesn't matter what it is, I will feel the love, driven by the love of it. Right? This is the process of finding out what religion really is. Rather than being driven by the fear of what that man on the cross physically looks like, the white skin, the blue eyes, and blonde hair, understand that's not representative of that. That's driven by fear. And if I don't buy into that, this is going to happen. That's going to. It's a fear-driven process. It's been that for me. And love now is a different process. And when I say the term muse in the spiritual sense, it's a female that whatever she is, she helps you to be creative. You're able to voice all those things. And I say to people, because I play music right after my meditations in the morning, that I've listened to some blues musicians, and I know for a fact, listen to their lives, that you cannot play the blues, you cannot sing it unless you have lived it. So it's your fears, your moments of fear and your deepest, darkest moments that gets you to really express who and what you are. And so the fear making it your muse is where you're able to express everything. Us sitting here got to this process is because of fear where we ended up. on flat on our backs, crisis that got us here. And here we are expressing it from that position of fear of how beautiful it is. This is what I realize. So we've all made fear our muse. I'm watching you do remarkable things driven by where you are, that fear got you there in the first place. So without making it relevant to your life, to my life, this is what it's got me, those small little words. And I need to keep saying it to myself. It's got to be my mantra to where I'm living it, understanding that when I make a decision, is it because of fear or is it because of love? What is it really? Why am I doing it?
So it's love. That's the biggest thing then, living by love instead of fear.
Yes.
Freedom.
To me, there's a remarkable difference.
Beautiful.
There's such a difference in the two.
Yeah, there is. Breathe in love and breathe out fear.
Yes,
it's one of my favorites. One of my favorites.
Breathe it in, breathe it out, breathe it, get rid of it. Every decision I'd be making up this morning is being the fear of what could happen if I don't, the fear could happen if I didn't, the fear. This is, it's so psychological that it's so subconscious you don't even know you're doing it.
Yeah.
You know, narcissists don't necessarily know they're narcissists.
No, they don't.
They don't set out to know. You're rewarding them with your behavior. They're just being rewarded for it.
Yeah.
And they continue to do it. So they don't sit down to think, God, my narcissist behavior got me this today. I don't think that at all. You know, they're just enjoying.
They don't know what they don't know.
So do you sit down and battle with them about it? Or do you sit down and really look at yourself and be really impeccable with yourself? Why am I in this relationship? And instead of knocking them for it, but this is the thing that happens to us. We get into a place of resentment, which is a horrible place to be, because you're resenting people that you love for loving you based on what you asked for in the first place.
Absolutely.
We're responsible for every step, right where we stand, right where I am, I'm responsible for it 100%. It doesn't matter what it was. I'm fully, and you know, I learned something from Jack Canberry, who I think is just a masterful teacher. He has a formula: E plus R equals O. E is the events in life, R plus R are our responses, and E equals the outcome. The E are the events, we can't do anything about them. The response we own 100%. That will alter and make the trajectory of the outcome. So if you want to alter that at all, you understand and own your response. But the minute that event happens, you have a response right away. You know, you can sob and weep if you want. That's also a response, but let that drive you, let that use you, let that understand it's fear-based, and it has to, you know, make you create the next great thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know,
so you had mentioned your morning practice, you listen to music. So can you just kind of tell us what your morning practice looks like for you? Just because there's a lot of people that may be watching this that don't even know what a morning practice will look like for them, you know, and it's going to be different for everybody. Some people are going to start with 5 minutes. Some people are going to spend an hour, you know, but what is it for Derek?
Well, I get up at 5:30 in the morning, which was difficult for me, to start with. But what I used as a guide are the 40 minutes of transformation. And of course, David G always talked about 5:30 in the morning, 5:30 in the morning. But I looked at it as a code. I needed to build, if I was going to do this, because I firmly believe everything in life, everything I say or everything I want to be, have to first become self-fulfilling prophecy. So 5:30 in the morning was where I needed to set up. I've always been a late night person. I rarely sleep. My imagination is the greatest thing I have, and late at night I'm just going on. But I had to lose sleep to learn that this was important. So 5:30 in the morning, I'd get up and meditate, like he'd say, because I wanted to be part of this whole process. And so this was the class, this is my teammates here. So when I sit down and talk about this, I had to have done it, not just talked about it. Impeccability here. So I got to do this thing. So the 40 minutes, of course, is there to guide me. It's not me by myself. David G is actually guiding me through this process, which is, he's holding my hand in this thing here. So 5:30 in the morning is right when I get up. I don't do that anymore. I have my own practice. So 5:30, and I set my alarm for 42 minutes. 42 minutes because I want to do 30 minutes. If I get to 42, great. If I don't, I've committed to the 30 minutes. Because during the course of our meditations, we discussed, I think it was the Buddha or someone, I can't remember who it was, who committed themselves a certain amount and said, you don't leave this spot until you finish the 30 minutes, whether you're there or not, or whether you achieve whatever you think you're going to get. So I committed to it. So now I get up, I do my 42 minutes, and then from there, I have my cup of tea and I get into my guitar work and I sit there for another 2 hours and I follow sound and whatever it is I have, because I'm a sound healer and I follow sound. I know notes. They have a beginning, a middle, and an end. I've never read music. I've always followed the sound is how I learn. And it takes me from one place now. Before you know it, I'm in this meditative state in sound. I've created my own. I don't play other people's music. I love it, but it doesn't mean anything to me. This is my soul speaking here. And whether it sounds good, yeah, I have my headphones on, it doesn't matter. It's me, myself, and Brahman. That's all
Yeah.
that matters. And so for another 2 hours, 3 hours, I'm there. And then I leave, I go to a coffee house, I grab some coffee. This is just ritualistic because it keeps me there. But I Krishna Das for the next couple of hours. And I've got chants happening. I'm down the street chanting away. Tears, maybe not. Grab my coffee. I go to the park next to me. There's some trees and a bench. And I'll sit there and feel it, live in
Yes.
Brahman. And for hours I'll chant and tears and stuff. And that's where I am. My prayers and my mudra and being grateful, live in gratitude and just love whatever comes and no schedules or whatever happens to me for the rest of the day happens. The priority, I retired about a month ago from conventional work. Conventional, I say because I still have other things. This is who I am.
Right.
It's work, if you want to call it that, but it's beautiful work. There's no tired in my it's just re-energized. So I'm going. And that's my day. That's my practice. And this my day follows in, and I have a schedule in the evenings. Again, davidji started this off by holding my hand. Now I do it on my own. The training
Yeah.
wheels off. They've been off for a while. And I wait till that happens. Yes, between 5 and 7, but sometimes it happens at 8. And I don't rush it. I let meditation find me. I let the spirit find me. And so there's no schedule, just kind of let it happen. But and I have to say this, I have a beautiful friend I got from this, Tara, sorry. And Tara has become my so amazing friend. We exchanged gifts. The first Christmas this happened, she sent me a meditation chair. That everything happens in that chair. My most creative moments and all my meditations happen in there. My most spiritual moments happen in it. So I sit in that chair and in the evenings, and if it's 7, 5, 8, and another 42 minutes. And I like taking showers first because I go to retreats, or I try to, in North Carolina, with a very good friend of mine named Ramesh Bijorn. I met Andrew Harvey through him, poetry, which I love. Fantastic. I love Sufism. I love it, love it, love it. Because I've had problems with writing lyrics, but I'm great with music, but lyrical stuff. But poetry helps me with that, different story. So it's all creativity. All of it is love. The whole day is driven by a process of love. My meditation process, I'm in a place, and I have to say this, my meditation process is, I don't know if anybody experiences this, but I get in this place where it's like a light, but I can feel it. It's like I'm part of it. And it's not the beach or palm trees. It's this place that has nothing in it, but it feels unbelievable. It's like if I'm ketamine, and it's just fantastic. So I love being in it. And then I come out of there, and whatever I do. And then I unwind and I go to sleep, or try to, and that's my day.
Well,
And
it's your
today,
soul's work.
yes, I let my soul decide everything. My
Yeah.
meditation, if I see it, is, we talk about equanimity, and for me, that is trying to balance my human state with my spiritual state and using my soul to do this. So the more time I spend there, the better I can do this.
That's awesome. Well, Matt is he writes poetry, or he might say hip hop lyrics or whatever, but it's very poetic. And I think he's reading Rumi right now. Rumi, well, he has a Rumi book and a Hafiz book, so he's been reading those as well. But he's very lyrically gifted. So maybe you two on the offline should get together with his lyrics and your strings.
I wouldn't mind at all. I'm open. You never know what happens.
You never know. You never know. So now you have a lot of wisdom to share, and I think that your story of meditation saving your life is truly beautiful. Do you plan on teaching, or do you plan on doing something down the road? I know you joined the Meditation Academy for your personal growth, and I actually did too, but then the teaching thing wouldn't leave me alone. So I said, fine, I'll do it. But, for you, like what do you plan on doing with that, if anything?
My plans are, my desires are, not to set up shop, and I'll leave that to the people very good at it. I love cultures. I'm not a tourist. I've always, and this again because of my addictions. I go to meet my needs. I get involved with the people. I love to go get my own thing because I love the people. I've never got into a confrontation with folks. I have this way of gelling with people because I enjoy whatever the situation is. So for me, I am detached from everything here. I'm now closing down my business. I have a real estate business. I'm now closing that on off. I'm now finding out some amazing things with my domestic affairs. That's now closing off too. In the way I needed to, I'm not leaving it because yes, it's hard to live in, but it's taking on a different dimension and it's built on beautiful love and friendship. And I have to preserve that. So I got to stay in it, preserve it, make sure it's there, and then move on. But my desires are, I love humanitarian stuff. I love service. I cannot walk by a person on the streets and don't do something. But my way of doing it is to stand in front of them and I don't put money in a cup, I put it in their hands. And I say to them, you're brave for what you do. What I'm doing is weak. To put my hands in pocket full of something I know I have to give, it doesn't take an effort at all to sit there and, have a sign because it's so, I've been lived out of my car. I've lived on the streets. I've lived and people have always bailed me out. So, someone's going to come along. So there is a thing in Nepal. I can go spend months in a monastery, live with orphanage, do my studying, follow Buddhism, follow whoever. And from there, because my ancestry is from India, in these places, I want to go up that region. And my thing is Bhakti yoga. And I follow Hanuman, I follow Maharaji. I believe in reincarnation. I believe these deities, including Krishna, all of them, Jesus Christ, I believe that they're here. Bodhisattvas, they choose to come to guide us. And I want to be around. I know I study stuff that I know that I will never be real until I'm at the feet of my guru. And then I will know what humility really is. Because it's an effort. It's a process that I have to get to. So I'm hoping that those are my desires. I don't know if I'll get there. The good Lord has his wishes and I'm willing to go wherever that is. So it's about service in one way, shape, or another. If it's through music, my desire, my hope is that one day, because I love Krishna Das so much, that if I were able to get some, because whatever I put out there, if I do, it is to attract, to serve. It's going to go to someone who doesn't have shoes or don't have food or what have you. So it's not about me, but if it happens to create an avenue where I can do more, I would really feel accomplished if he would have called me and say, listen, I got something going on. Can you please open for me? Oh, my Lord. Then I can say, D, you have arrived, brother. Damn. So, yes, those are my desires, fully ego driven, Brandy, but who knows what's going to happen.
I love it. I love it. I can see you doing all of those things that you just mentioned. I can see you doing all of them with your wonderful grace and kindness and compassion. I just think it's all going to happen for you. So, and that's how I see it.
To get the music was a very long road. And I know it's the only thing I ever came into it. I'm not very good technically, but I'm not bad at writing stuff, melodies and so on. But to get here was hard. My father, I grew up for my first 12 years. My family's well-to-do. I was basically the 1% in that society. I mean, cricket was our thing. I grew up watching boxing, but cricket is a global sport. But my father was the secretary of the board in the West Indies. And so all the greatest athletes would come to my house for dinner. I grew up with these people, but I lost it all in a 6-hour plane flight to this country. All of it was gone.
Wow.
So I understand how fleeting it is, but I also understood it wasn't mine. But he bought a band for my brothers, my elder brothers, and got the musicians and he taught them. And I loved it, but I was naturally gifted at it. But when I got into this country, even though music was supposed to be part of the curriculum, I was not even allowed in a musical school, a musical class, because if little Jimmy wanted guitar, there's no way Derek Abdool, because that was my name in 75, and that is comedic in itself. I'd be laughing at it. There's no way I was getting in that school. So I didn't play music for my only gift for the longest while until I could afford my guitar from my job. And my first jobs at 16 was cleaning feces out of people's toilets because you weren't going to get jobs in suits and ties if you quit school at grade 9.
Yeah.
And the thing about it, what I learned was, because I'm a talker, as you can tell, right? I had jobs. The government here, I don't know about there, but when you have subsidized government in places, corporations, you can't hire people who don't have high school diplomas. Well, I've worked for CP Rail, which is government subsidized twice. I've worked
Mhm.
for Liquor Board, which is government subsidized once, and I quit all these jobs. I just retired from TTC, which is government subsidized. Not once have they ever asked me for a high school diploma. Everybody else has. I can't talk about it. I couldn't talk about it because I have the ability to talk with people and then forget about what they're supposed to ask because it's predetermined. Their existence is predetermined by another person on a piece of paper. Me intuitively knowing this, I will talk you out of that in a second. It's
Yeah.
a beautiful gift I love. The gift of Libra and Gemini moons. Yes.
So, and for everybody, you're in Canada, right?
I'm in Canada, Toronto,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, Toronto, Canada. So,
Yeah.
just so our watchers know where you're at and have a relationship to what country you're in. So, but it's all just wonderful. So, we want to always keep up with you, Derek. We want to know if you end up in a monastery. We want to know if you are opening for somebody, maybe for us, who knows? We want to know if you are doing all the amazing things that are on your list. And my next question is if you could please guide us in like a 2 to 3 minute meditation to finish out our time together.
But I do a meditation that, again, I got from Jack Canberry because as much as I have my own and so on, this one actually got me to the spot. It can be emotional for people out there, just to let you know. And I'll try to do it justice, but I'm not Jack. So, okay, let's start.
Okay.
First of all, get into your spot. Let me set my timer because we only got 2 to 3 minutes. I don't want to go over and ruin this. All right, so if you could just close your eyes and just relax before the deep breath situation.
Okay.
Just get comfortable. Close your eyes, take a nice, deep, slow breath, as deep as you can. Let that go slowly. And the next breath you take, I want you to let your belly do it for you. Let it breathe, but in 3 stages. So let your belly go as high as it can. And let that ear go, feel it into your thighs. And after that, feel it in your chest. After that's finished, feel it in your throat. And when you hold it for a couple of seconds, just slowly let it go. And again, let your system do it for you without you forcing the ear out. Let your belly go down, let it go down. And the next breath you take, I want you to, if you have anxiety, try and locate it in your body right now. So some of us feel it in our chest, some in our solar plexus, some in our throats. Try to locate it if you can in your next deep breath. You can forget about your breaths now and just try to find that anxiety where it is. And I want you to take your left hand and pick it up in your left hand and look at it carefully. I want you to look at it and say, does it have a shape? Is it square? Is it round? Is it oval, oblong? What does it look like? Is it dark? Does it have color? Is it dark? Is it light? Does it shine? Does it glow? What's the texture like? Is it soft? Is it gritty? Can you feel it? Now as you breathe, I want you to look at this anxiety and I want you to see it dissipating in the ear with your breath. You breathe in, and as you breathe out, it's just flowing through the ear. And as it flows through the ear, your next breath in, I want you to feel light coming into you, filling up your entire body, every part of you. And as the ear fills up your body, I want you to ask your heart, not your mind, not your ego, ask your heart to take you back to the very first time you felt anxiety and you were afraid. As a child or whenever you were very much afraid and you were anxious. Go back to you as a child or whenever you were. And I want you to look at that person. I want you to see the fear and the anxiety in their eyes. You're not their mother, you're not their parent, you are that person. This is the first time they're going to actually be able to speak with someone who is them. What would you say to them? What would you do with them? How would you guide them to where you are right now? Take a few seconds to do that. Breathe into it. Now, as you're about to leave them, give them your final goodbyes. Long as it's not be forever. What are you going to say? How did it look? Is there a smile? Are they happy they saw you? And after you've done that, take a nice, deep, slow breath. Come on back to where you are. Come on back to where you are. Take a nice, deep breath again. Let that go. The very next breath, I want you to take yourself to your 85-year-old self, to your older self, irrespective of how old you are, to the person you want to meet. And look at their face, look at how they're dressed, look at the lines in their face, look at their hair. What are you seeing? It's your smile. Have them greet you. How are they greeting you? As they greet you, what do they have to say to you? And how do you feel about what they're saying? Do you want to see them? What is going through your mind? Breathe into that for a couple of seconds. Now take a deep breath, nice, slow, deep, casual, relaxed breath. Don't force anything. As you say goodbye, as they tell you, I'll be seeing you in a few years. Did he tell you, don't stress, don't worry about it? What do you got to say to you? As you come on back into your body, come on back, nice, slow breath, nice, deep breath. Inhale as deep as you can, nice and slow. Let that go. And you can use whatever mantra you like to take the next deep breath, slow, casual breath, as deep as you wish. Don't force anything, relax. Pick it at the top, hold it. Come on back slowly. Let your stomach, your system breathe you. And then come on back to us. Come back to where you are. And I want you to ask yourself a question. If you did indeed feel the anxiety before we started this, where is that anxiety now? And you can stay there if you want for a little while, or come on back. Meditation's over from my perspective. You can just be there for as long as you want. You can stay with the 85-year-old person. You can stay with the child. You can stay wherever you want. Namaste. Namaskar. Amen. God bless.
That was
Love is your
beautiful.
master. Fear is your muse.
That's right. Wow, that was beautiful, Derek. Thank you so much. I could visualize it. I could see it. So you're a teacher.
Well, you will learn it. So I guess there's what they call these relationships, intrinsically linked. One needs the other. Absolutely. I wish you all the best, Brandy, yourself. I think it's so beautiful, so magnificent. I mean, I I don't know where this is going to go, but I have never done this before. And if I'm going to get anywhere, it's because of things like this. So I love you for it. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I would not have
Oh,
it without you.
we love you, Derek. Thank you so much for joining us and participating and just spreading the word about the gifts that meditation can give us all. And we all have the power, and your story is certainly a powerful one. So we are blessed to hear it today, and I am so very grateful. So thank you so much for joining us.
Friend, all the best.
All right. We'll see everybody later. Thank you for watching. Again, if you're watching this on YouTube, please like and subscribe. You can find Golden Alchemy Meditation on Instagram. I do have a private Facebook group as well called Golden Alchemy Meditation. Feel free to reach out to me directly if we're connected, if you have any questions. And namaste, my friends. I hope you have a beautiful day.
Video.